You saw last night that following the Americans' violation of the ceasefire, the Islamic Republic of Iran's brave armed forces responded decisively, and this will remain the case going forward. Any behavior by the Americans will be met with a regrettable response by the armed forces.
On camera, Iran warns the US of a decisive response as Trump appears to risk breaching the truce. An aide linked to Mojtaba says the US will face a regrettable response after the strikes, escalating Tehran's warning. Tehran is warning of deadlier retaliation if the US crosses what it calls Mojtaba's red lines. Iran says the Strait of Hormuz remains under its command as Tehran issues a fresh warning to Washington.
Undoubtedly, the Islamic Republic is prepared to deal decisively with any behavior that contradicts the signed MOU, and it is ready to respond to any action that might, in fact, foment insecurity or cross the red lines of the Islamic Republic of Iran. You saw last night that following the Americans' violation of the ceasefire, the Islamic Republic of Iran's brave armed forces responded decisively, and this will remain the case going forward. Any behavior by the Americans will be met with a regrettable response by the armed forces. The United States must know, and the countries that wish to pass through the Strait of Hormuz must know, that they must navigate the path of authority, the route Iran determined, and adhere to the lines drawn by Iran. Today, the Strait of Hormuz is under the intelligent command of the armed forces, especially the Navy of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. Any violation of the measures, actions, orders, and the designated path foreseen for these waters will certainly be dealt with. There is no need for an investigation. The scene speaks for itself. The location speaks for itself. Is it even possible to bomb a school and then claim no evidence was found? Well, what evidence should be found? Your equipment, the ammunition you use there, the location itself. It is simply a bizarre irony. I believe that for a long time now, the world has paid no heed to the words of the U.S. president because he has no credibility. Whether Americans accept it or not, they have committed a horrific crime and must be held accountable.
As Iranian and U.S. forces exchanged fire in a serious test of the ceasefire, a hardline newspaper in Iran seized the moment to call loudly for closing Hormuz, using the clash as proof that Washington cannot be trusted. On June 27, Tehran ran a blistering editorial urging Tehran to suspend implementation of the memorandum and to shut the Strait of Hormuz until the U.S. changes course, effectively demanding that Iran bring oil flows to a halt again. The paper argued that the United States has repeatedly violated the agreement by striking Iranian targets, insisting that continuing to honor the deal under such conditions makes no strategic sense for Tehran. Tehran also lashed out at senior Iranian figures Masoud Pezeshkian, Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf, and Abbas Araghchi, accusing them of being too soft and too quick to compromise in their dealings with Washington. The editorial questioned why these officials failed to respond publicly and forcefully to the U.S. attack, implying that their silence sends the wrong message both to Iran's enemies and to its own public. Tehran article said, and I quote, "The Strait of Hormuz, in Iran's territorial waters, is our lever of power against criminal America." Iran's negotiating team had retreated too quickly and closed the strait in an invalid memorandum. Even though most of America's commitments in the memorandum have been violated, the strait could have been the guarantee for implementing those commitments. Strait of Hormuz should not have been reopened before the fate of the war criminals was determined, compensation was obtained, and credible guarantees secured that the threats would not be repeated. Declare that implementation of the memorandum is suspended and the Strait of Hormuz is closed until the enemy's threats stop on all fronts, from the Persian Gulf to Lebanon. End quote. Tehran called on Iran's leaders to break the enemy's mistaken calculations, insisting that only decisive action will convince Washington and its allies that Iran cannot be pressured into one-sided concessions. At the same time, the paper warned that if Iran continues to say it is committed to the deal at any price despite alleged U.S. violations, it risks emboldening its adversaries and weakening its own deterrence. This hardline statement landed just as Iran and the United States exchanged fire following an attack on a tanker in Hormuz, tying the newspaper's demands directly to the latest flare-up at sea. It is important to remember that the Strait of Hormuz was reopened as a core part of the Iran-US deal, a move that helped ease global oil prices and calm nerves in energy markets after months of escalation. Iran strikes US-linked targets in Bahrain as fresh hostilities threaten to derail the fragile peace process. Bahrain accuses Iran of drone strike near the strategic US Fifth Fleet headquarters. Manama condemns attack as a blatant breach of its sovereignty and regional security. Bahrain vows to defend its territory as fears of a wider Gulf escalation grow. Tehran defends defensive response, saying it acted after recent US military strikes on Iran. Iran says US airstrikes violated the war-ending agreement reached just last week. US struck Iranian missile, drone and radar sites only hours before Tehran's response. Pentagon said strikes retaliated for the drone attack on a cargo ship near the Strait of Hormuz. New tit-for-tat strikes to push the fragile US-Iran ceasefire to the brink of collapse?
Mr. President, you said that Iran violated the ceasefire.
Yeah,
Will they face any consequences?
Well, you'll find out.
Do you consider the ceasefire to still be in place?
I don't like the fact that they took a shot yesterday, actually 4, we knocked down 3, at a ship. Not an allied ship, but a ship, a very expensive ship. And it was fine, but it took a little beating. They shouldn't be doing that, so you'll find out.
Will the U.S.
You'll find out
Will the
exactly.
U.S. respond? What is your message to
Will
Iran?
I respond? You're going to find out.
$25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले।
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that we will have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest news makers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the U.S. will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry ghats.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Deep dive into burning issues.
It's often said DRC could be the richest country in the whole world. It's because of what sits underneath.
Why exactly did the US topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HT videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.